Welcome to New Book Tuesday, friends. Today is August 31st, and we're going to roll it with all of the new book releases. Hi, my name is She-fra. I go by Wicklow for this channel, and we're going to be discussing today all the new book releases for today. Today is also the third video in a row where I could not find any middle grade book that got released today. I'm just awful at this. You know what? It's fine. It's fine. I know for a fact that there is one for next week. So that's all I care about. Because if there was more than 3, I would be so upset. I'd be like, okay, I need to start taking for hours here, clearly. But again, like the past few videos, we're going to be kicking off for the teen selection and going through all of the books that got released for that genre. So the first one today is The Witch Haven. It is a historical fiction, supernatural, and fantasy book, and it's been said to be like a crossover between The Last Magician meets The Lady's Guide to Petticoats and Piracy. That second book, I'm not happy with that comparison. Never read it, just haven't heard great things. But I know that they mean it in a really good way, so we're going to kick off a synopsis and ignore that other book. So, in 1911, New York City, 17-year-old Frances spends her days as a seamstress, mourning the mysterious death of her brother months prior. Everything changes when she's attacked and a man ends up dead at her feet, her scissors in his neck, and she can't explain how they got there. Before she can be condemned as a murderess, 2 cape-wearing nurses arrive to inform her she is deadly ill in order to report to Haxhaven Sanitarium. But Frances finds Haxhaven isn't a sanitarium at all. It's a school for witches. Within Haxhaven's glittering walls, Frances finds the sisterhood she craves, but the headmistress warns Frances that magic is dangerous. Frances has no interest in the small, safe magic of her school and is instead enchanted by Finn, a boy with magic himself who appears in her dreams and tells her he can teach her all that she's been craving to learn. Lessons that may bring her closer to discovering what truly happened to her brother. Frances' newfound power attracts the attention of the leader of an ancient order who yearns for magic control over Manhattan, and who will stop at nothing to have Frances by his side. Frances must ultimately choose what matters more: justice for her murdered brother and her growing feelings for Finn, or the safety of her city and fellow witches. What price would she pay for power, and what if the truth is more terrible than ever imagined? Added to be, well, I'm gonna be real. It's already been added to my TBR because I put in a request for it for a couple of weeks ago, and they didn't approve it. But I'm like, it's okay. I'll read it when it comes out, which is today. So I might just pop to the bookstore and grab it because I really like that. I have a theory, and I would really like it to happen. I want her to get power and get revenge and have the safety. You can have it all. Girl, you can have it all. The next book we're going to be mentioning is Forsborn. Forsborn is the first book in the Forsborn series. It is a fantasy, LGBTQ+, sci-fi romance book. And it follows Rory. Rory is a shifter, as magical as all born in the wilderness and as feared. She uses her abilities to spy for the king, traveling under different disguises and listening for signs of trouble. When a magical illness surfaces across the kingdom, Rory uncovers a devastating truth. Finley, the young prince and her best friend, has caught it too. His only hope is stardust, the rarest of magical elements found deep in the wilderness where Rory grew up, and to which she swore she'd never return. But for her only friend, Rory will face her past and brave the dark magical wood, journeying with her brother and the older prince who insists on coming. Together they must survive forests and creatures unknown, battling an ever-changing landscape with escaping human pursuers who want them dead. With illness gripping the kingdom and war on the horizon, Finley is not the only life that hangs in the balance. This is the same scenario for the last book I put in a request. They haven't disapproved it yet, approved it, or didn't approve it. So there's still a chance. But it's obviously TBR. It just looks cute too. Next we have Anything But Fine. So this is an LGBTQ plus contemporary romance book, and it follows two young men. Luca is ready to audition for the Australian Ballet School. All it takes to crush his dreams is one misstep and a broken foot. Jordan is the gorgeous rowing star and school captain of Luca's new school, and everyone says he's straight, but Luca's not too sure. As their unlikely bond grows closer and stronger, Luca starts to wonder, who is he without ballet? And is he setting himself up for another heartbreak? Is that all? No, I want more. Okay, it sounds really cute. So I will add to my TBR because give me friendship to lovers, please. I want that. It's just, there's something so pure about it and I really want it. Next we have The Last Words We Said. So this is a contemporary romance and Jewish story. 9 months ago, Danny disappeared and everything changed. For his friends, Ray, pouring herself into rage baking, Denise, deepening her commitment to Orthodox Judaism, and Ellie, Danny's best friend and girlfriend, is the only one who doesn't believe he's dead, because she still sees him. Moving back and forth between past and present, the future, the story of Ellie and Danny unspools, from their meeting to Danny and Ellie falling for each other. In the past, they were a perfect couple until it all went wrong. In the present, Ellie's looking for answers. Her friends are worried about her mental health, but Ellie's certain that the tragedy that rocked their modern Orthodox community isn't as simple as they all believe. She's determined to uncover the truth about what happened to the love of her life, but to do that, she'll have to be more honest with herself. TBR. TBR. This almost has maybe no, I don't want to say supernatural because I'm really scared that she's seen him to cope. He better not be dead. I'm going to be really upset if he's dead. Now we're moving away from teen and on to our fiction, sci-fi, romance, fantasy section. And we'll be beginning it all off with our romance category. So the first title we're going to be talking about is The Royals Next Door, which is romance, contemporary, and set in Canada, which is very interesting because that's where I live. So, an ordinary summer goes royally awry when a prince and a princess move next door, bringing their handsome bodyguard with them. Piper Evans, elementary school teacher by day, avid romance reader, and anonymous podcaster by night, she lives a quiet, reclusive life, taking care of her mother, who struggles with mental illness, avoiding her regrettable ex, who bartends in town, and trying to make inroads in the tight-knit island community that still sees her 5 years as an outsider. And she's happy with how things are, really, until British royals rent the property next to hers, and their brooding bodyguard decides she's a security threat. Piper quickly realizes that one person's fairy tale is an ordinary woman's nightmare, as a media frenzy takes over the island, and each run-in with Harrison Cole is hotter and more confusing than the last. But beneath Harrison's no-nonsense exterior lies a soft heart, one that could tempt a woman who's sworn off attachments and believing in white knights. But when Piper finds herself smack in the middle of a royal scandal that rocks the island, she'll need more than Harrison's strong arm to shield her. She'll have to do a little rescuing herself. With careers and hearts and friendships on the line, Piper and Harrison will have to decide what they're willing to give up and for a chance at happiness for themselves. What do you mean this is one book? This better be a series. I want like royal bodyguard and elementary school teacher. God, I wish this was a mystery. Obviously, my reaction's saying a TBR, for sure. This sounds so cool. I'm very excited to read this. Ooh. So, our next book is going to be The Heart Principle. It's the third book in the KISS quota. I haven't read any of these books. I've seen so many people rave about it. So, my interest is piqued, of course. So, it is a romance, contemporary, diversity, mental health book. A woman struggling with burnout learns to embrace the unexpected and the man she enlists to help her in this heartfelt new romance. When violinist Anna accidentally achieves career success with a viral YouTube video, she finds herself incapacitated and burnt out from her attempts to replicate that moment. And when her longtime boyfriend announces he wants an open relationship before making a final commitment, a hurt and angry Anna decides that if he wants an open relationship, then she does too. Translation, she's going to embark on a string of one-night stands. The more unacceptable men, the better. That's where tattooed motorcycle riding Kwon comes in. Their first attempt at one-night stand fails, as does their second and their third, because being with Kwon is more than sex. He accepts Anna on an unconditional level that she has just started to understand herself. However, when tragedy strikes Anna's family, she takes on a role that she is ill-suited for, until the burden of expectation threatens to destroy her, and Anna and Kwon have to fight for their chance at love. But to do that, they also have to fight for themselves. Oh, I love this. Yeah, this is added to the TBR. Now I kind of want to read the other two even more. Why is there so many good books out? God, my bank account cries. So the next book we're going to be talking about is The Name Curse. So this is romance contemporary. Ever since her father died, Bernie's life has been stagnant. When concerned friends and family suggest she join a hike through Alaska to gain new perspective, not why. Bernie reluctantly agrees to go. Girl, I would not have gone. Even though she's never been the adventurous type, unlike her namesake great aunt Bernice. Matthew is a struggling screenwriter who needs a week off the grid to gain some inspiration for a new project and to process the reappearance of his absent father. When the two meet at the trailhead, it's annoyance at first sight. He's dismayed to discover he'll have to share a tent with Bernie, who doesn't know the first thing about camping, while she finds he's a little too into roughing it to be a reasonable human being. But as they're forced to hike through the wilderness together, the relationship becomes a surprising source of empathy and inspiration, and maybe other feelings too. Can the two adversaries find the path to breaking the curse of family expectations and each other? Interesting. Have to think about this one. Has potential, which is never bad. So we've moved on to our fiction section, and our one and only book in this is A Slow Fire Burning. It is a mystery thriller contemporary book. The synopsis reads, when a young man is found gruesomely murdered in a London houseboat, it triggers questions about three women who knew him. Laura is a troubled one-night stand last seen in the victim's home. Carla is a grief-stricken aunt already mourning the recent death of yet another family member. And Mara is the nosy neighbor keeping secrets from the police. Three women with separate connections to the victim. Three women who are, for different reasons, simmering with resentment. Who are, whether they know it or not, burning to right the wrongs done to them. When it comes to revenge, even good people might be capable of terrible deeds. How far might any one of them go to find peace? Interesting. TBR. This has intrigued me. Because now I'm just like, are these women victims of this man? Or was he the victim of all of them or one of them? That always intrigues me. Interesting. Also, I lied. That wasn't the only fiction book. So, it's The Riviera House, and it is a historical fiction romance World War II set book. Paris, 1939. The Nazis think Elaine can't understand German. They're wrong. They think she's merely cataloging art in the Louvre Museum, and unaware they're stealing a national treasure for the private collection. They have no idea she's carefully decoding their notes and smuggling information to the resistance. But Elaine is playing a dangerous game. Does she dare trust the man she once loved with her secrets, or will he only betray her once again? She has no way to know for certain until a trip to a stunning home on the French Riviera begins a whole new level of peril. Present day. Wanting to forget the tragedy that has left her life in shambles, Remy heads to a home she's mysteriously inherited on the Riviera. While working on her vintage fashion business, she discovers a catalogue of artwork stolen during World War II and is shocked to see a painting that hung on her childhood bedroom wall. Who is her family really? And does the Riviera house hold more secrets than Remy is ready to face? Please don't be Nazis. Well, I know there's Nazis in here. Please don't let her family be Nazis. Jesus. we will think about this one. We will think about it. Okay, the next book is in our fantasy genre, and it is In the Watchful City. Now, it's a collection of short stories, and it is LGBTQ plus and sci-fi fantasy. So it has a few like stories in it. So it's mostly just exploring borders, power, transformation, in Asian-inspired novella that blends futurism with magical elements. So because it's like multiple short stories, it doesn't have a full like synopsis for each one. So it just tells you about that and how it's mostly all set in a city of aura. Honestly, TBR. Like, it has some really good like genres it's clearly in, and it's short stories. Short stories are so easy to read. It's never like daunting. So yeah, definitely, yeah. Next we're on to I don't really include this as much often because I don't really usually, but technically we're adding another genre in today, horror. Because I found 2 books that are very horror and released today. So the first one is My Heart is a Chainsaw. It is thriller, mystery, horror, Halloween. And it follows this young woman named Jade. Jade is angry, half Indian outcast with an abusive father and an absent mother and an entire town that wants nothing to do with her. She lives in her own world, a world in which protection comes from an unusual source. Horror movies, especially the ones where a mass killer seeks revenge on a world that wronged them. And Jade narrates the quirky history of Proof Rock as if it is one of those movies. But when blood actually starts to spill into the water of Indian Lake, she pulls up into her dizzy encyclopedic mind of blood and mass murders and predicts exactly how the plot will unfold. Yet even as Jade drags us into her dark fever dream, a surprising and intimate portrait emerges, a portrait of a scarred and traumatized little girl beneath the mask. Angry, yes, but also a little girl who cries easily, fiercely loves, and desperately wants a home. A girl whose feelings are too big for her body. Seems like a psychological thriller too. This is kind of perfect for like our autumn fall vibes, so I will be adding this to my Halloween TBR. So future read for sure because it has some interesting elements. So the last book we're going to be talking about today is Relevator. So it is a fantasy horror fiction gothic book. In 1933, 9-year-old Stella is left in the care of her grandmother, N.B.T, in the backwoods of Tennessee. These remote hills of the Smoky Mountains are home to dangerous secrets, and as soon as she arrives, Stella wanders into the dark cavern where she encounters the family's personal god, an entity known as Ghost Daddy. It's fine. No, I don't have a mind that's in the gutter. It's fine. Anyway, years later, after a tragic incident that caused her to flee, Stella, now a professional bootlegger, returns for Monty's funeral and to check on the mysterious 10-year-old girl named Sunny that Monty adopted. Sunny appears innocent enough, but she is more powerful than Stella could imagine, and she's a direct link to Stella's buried past and her family's destructive faith. Haunting and wholly engrossing, summoning mesmerizing voices, and giving shape to the dark, this book is a Southern Gothic tale for the ages. Cult vibes, TBR, Halloween TBR for sure. Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait to read so many of these books. I really can't wait to start my Halloween TBR. Oh, folks, good books. So that has been us for today, folks. Thank you for joining me. I hope you were able to find some books that you're interested in, maybe some books to add on to your TBR, or maybe future books that you're going to go for a theme. If you like this, you should subscribe, you should comment, or do none of the above, because I'm always going to be here, and if you join me, you join me. I hope you have a good day, and I'll see you next time.